You guys clearly are able to really get your head back in the game. You get rattled and you're able to get back in like an Olympic athlete level, I'm seeing. Tell us what you do, some of the things that you do, because I share a lot of it on the show. I mean, I get knocked around, I always I always resurrect, but sometimes you hear me behind the scenes. I'm like, you know what? This. Like, this is too much. Like, I know I have a bigger mission here, but like, I can only take so much. I really have true moments like that where I contemplate it for a solid week, sometimes 2 weeks, where, and then I end up getting over myself and coming back again. Tell us what you do, because clearly what you do is working. Today, we're having a threesome on the podcast, and our guests today didn't just start a fashion brand, they sparked a movement. I'm joined by Vicky and Charisse Pasche, the powerhouse duo behind Dapper Boi, a brand you may recognize from Shark Tank or even seen in your local Nordstrom. But their story is about so much more than stylish, inclusive clothing. What began as a mission to fill the gap in the fashion industry has evolved into a bold declaration. Everyone deserves to be seen, celebrated, and confident in their skin. Dapper Boi is redefining what it means to get dressed with clothing that fits well, feels good, and reflects the beautiful spectrum of human identity. Their work has not gone unnoticed. In fact, they were recently honored as Inc.'s Female Founders of 2025. And let me tell you, for good reason. Also, I've had the pleasure of meeting these two ladies in person, and I vouch for their energy, their charisma, their generosity, and their genuine spirit behind this movement they created is going to be so contagious through the airwaves when you listen today. In this episode, we are going beyond the fabric and into the why, the challenges, the breakthrough, and the powerful ripple effect of building a business that prioritizes authenticity and community. So let's dive into the journey of Dapper Boi. And what I ask of you, if you are moved by this episode, please share it with someone who you know it will resonate with. Take a screenshot, post it on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, any of the places, and really pay it forward and celebrate fellow founders, fellow people that are really going after it and going up against the big giants in the business world and doing it anyway, because this is how we support one another, and this is how we grow, and this is how we as women become unstoppable. Well, first of all, welcome. I'm so happy to have you both on. When we met, I feel like there was that like instant connection.
Oh, yeah.
And randomly in a rooftop that literally looked like we were going into a rave from like 2003 downtown LA. And it's funny because you were like, I took notes. I was taking notes when you were talking. I saw you on your phone. I'm like, is this bitch on her phone while I'm talking? And you were taking notes, and I was like, okay, you've redeemed yourself.
Yes.
And I was so excited to have you on for so many reasons, but because you guys are both like partners in life and in business, and there's a lot of people that see when it's wives or husband and wife or, two husbands, there's like, oh God, I would love to do that. I would love to have like my partnership and we're like, we're taking over the world together. And I can even romanticize it as someone who does this, like I'm a solo founder, right? And I want to start there. Like, did this brand start out with the two of you from the beginning, or did it morph into this?
Oh my gosh. So I like to say that she pitched me on our honeymoon. So imagine we just get married. I have this like incredible vision that we're going to have this thriving 401k. We're going to be in our corporate jobs for 30 plus years, and we're just going to live this happy, very boring, sterile life. But no, she had different plans on our honeymoon. She's like, guess what? I have this idea, and nothing ever starts great from, babe, can we talk? I have this idea.
That's my.
So she tells me about her idea to start Dapper Boi. And it's interesting because in our marriage, my slogan going into it has always been say yes, ask questions later. And it has served us right. We've been married 10 plus years, and we're always so aligned with all things business, all things family, because I know that our values are so aligned that we're never going to steer each other wrong.
But imagine we are two Leos, and
Oh
it's
boy.
Okay,
That's
that
yeah,
is a
that's
lot.
spicy. I know, but it
Wow.
has
I mean,
worked for us.
so the positive part is like you guys have the foundation of like trusting and supporting one another. So you have that to fall back on. But like what happens when you guys are butting heads? Like how do you resolve that? Or when you're just like very annoyed with each other and you have to go to work with each other and parent with each other every day. Like I don't know if I could do it, honestly.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
tough. I mean, we, for the most part, really have our jobs. And it's funny because we sit right next to each other in the office here. And whenever there's a time where we need a little space,
I kick her out of the
I have a
office.
desk on wheels and I roll it out to the other
Yeah.
room and we do that. But I'd say for the most part, we're major communicators. I'm probably an over communicator, and we can work things out fairly quickly.
Yeah, she is the CEO at Dapper Boi, and I'm the CEO at the Pasche household. So as long as we have those things, like we know where our
It's true.
leadership kind of aligns, like she knows that I know that I default to her for some of the like visionary, like main decisions with Dapper Boi, but all things home, that's my wheelhouse. That's my lane.
I love that. You know, you know where your strengths are and you kind of stay in your lane.
Mhm.
And I think that's where it can get messy. You
Yes.
know, I love the even the vision of you wheeling your desk out. That's something I would do. As a Virgo, I'm like, I'm out of here. I need a desk on wheels just for like the
Desk on wheels is
dramatics of
cheap,
it. That's
cheap.
amazing.
That's a
Yeah.
recommendation.
Like, you gotta be out for like the next 48 business hours.
So where did this idea come from? Like, I mean, did it come from your ass over a margarita? Like, where did this
No.
happen?
Yeah, so I had worked in the casino marketing industry for like 10 years. And when I worked in management, I wore suits every day. And it wasn't until it was 2010 is where I like chopped off my hair. I came out to my family. I started becoming more confident going out in the gay scene and shopping in the men's department. And that experience for me was everything. It was scary because, not only am I going to another side in the store, it's just like, but socially awkward, like people looking at you and, what are they going to think and things like that too. But it was everything to me. It was instant confidence. It's exactly who I wanted to be wearing those clothes. When I wore women's clothes, I felt like so frumpy, not confident, unseen, all of those things. I hated shopping. But then I, shop in the men's department and I was like shopaholic pretty much at that
Wait,
point.
did you wear like a pencil skirt? I'm dying.
No, I know, right?
Oh my God.
No, I would wear
I kind of hope so.
No,
Okay,
she
I'm
would
gonna
wear
have to
capris.
send you some
Oh,
pictures.
no,
I
no,
wore
no.
these like capri pants like every day.
I'm
And I have
dead.
like I wear a size 11 men's foot. So imagine like a woman's shoe. Like I'm wearing just like flats from like Payless.
Like you got the
nothing
BOGO
fitting me.
Payless. Oh
Yeah.
my God, this is so good. So when
And I
you
had
were,
big hoop earrings too. And I was like,
I mean, you had to do the hoops. I
right.
mean, that just tops it all off. So when you were in the corporate world and like playing the corporate game, when you would go to get like dressed every day, did it feel like I'm literally putting on a costume? Like
Yes.
what did that feel like wearing shit you hated? Like myself, when I was in corporate, I definitely felt like I'm an actor in a play and I am putting on a persona and a physical costume. And the first thing I did when I would get home, that shit would be stripped off. I would
Yeah.
love to know like how you were.
Yeah, I know the difference between now and then, and that's what I can say. And that was really like then it really was not confident. I wasn't thinking I would ever get, huge positions, anything like that. I was just kind of like, even though I was, in marketing and a lot of times even up on a stage, I never felt attractive. And it wasn't until I put on men's clothes and like chopped my hair and learned how to ask for like a fade from a barber where I was like this new being of confidence. And now becoming this leader in this space is like, it is like night and day difference. Like what a different lifetime. But, there's so many just lessons learned along the way of just like, embracing your authentic self and like what that can do. Even though it was men's clothes and still so awkward, it was everything to me, like truly my most confident self. And then I realized again, like those clothes weren't made to fit my body. Like imagine I'm wearing this button-up shirt. a men's button-up shirt, and I wear it down to like my chest because, I button it down to my chest and leave the rest open with a tank underneath because of my ass. Like I could not fit, over that. So like I acted like it was a style, but it really is just because those clothes never fit. My jeans, I'd have to wear 2 sizes too big to get around my booty. And so like, when Charisse describes how she met me, she thought I was frumpy, where I was like, I am so confident,
You're like, I've got swag. Okay.
Right.
I was like, you are a hot ass mess. And it was interesting when she had pitched me this, because when I first met her, I was like, okay, we need a whole style overhaul. I love shopping. It's my favorite form of cardio. I went to the department store, bought her all these things off the rack, thinking that I could solve her problem. She goes home. I bring these stuff home and I say, okay, do a fashion show. Let's see. I've solved all your problems, and nothing fit. So when she actually told me about this, I could empathize with how she felt. I mean, what a privilege it is for myself to be able to take clothes off the rack, put it on, and know that I can feel confident immediately. Like, she felt confident in the aesthetic, but not the fit.
Right.
And so, I can only empathize with that so much. And now doing this for 10 plus years and the incredible stories, I know I'm fast forwarding, but it all makes it worth it, because it's not just Vicky. These are thousands of customers that we have positively impacted, because we truly believe when you look good, you feel good, and then you do good, not just in work, not just at home, but like literally in the world.
And you took what was an issue of yours, you saw a hole in the market. What made you think that this hole was big enough to warrant you starting a business around?
Yeah, I started paying attention because I was thinking, man, I would love this for myself. And then I was like, I wonder if this really would work for other people. And I remember going around, we were in the, LGBTQ community here in San Diego, and I'm noticing everyone that's looks like me, more masculine women that have the same exact problem. They're wearing the same shirt down to their chest, the same exact thing. And I started just talking to people like, what would you think? I'm thinking about starting. And at that point in time, and some people don't know this, like Dapper Boi originally started, the concept was suits, because that's what I was wearing every day. But when we were going to, launch on Kickstarter, we saw other brands with the same idea, suits. And so I went back to that first time in Old Navy, where I went to the men's section for the very first time, and I tried on jeans. That was the very first product that hit for me. And that was the biggest problem for me. And so I was like, no, we need an everyday line. I felt most confident in my everyday line going out, doing those things. So that's where we really began. And without a fashion background, this is going to be a big challenge.
Was this kind of one of those things where like ignorance is bliss? Because
we were so naive.
Because newsflash, you guys, the fashion industry is definitely not for the faint of heart, and is pretty savage.
Yeah. No, ignorance is bliss. And if I were to, would we do this all over again? No, we know.
I mean, it was kind of crazy. We went all in. We had a 4-bedroom townhouse at that time. And when Vicky said she wanted to do this, I was like, okay, let's go all in. Wasn't working corporate anymore. I
was
had
a consultant at this point for casinos, actually.
I had a full-time job. We ended up downsizing to a 1-bedroom beach shack, 640 square feet. I mean, it was tiny. So we move into this beach shack, and all of a sudden our living room becomes our inventory space, our shipping center, and our office all in one.
And living room and dining room.
So we went all in. And imagine we're calling manufacturers. That was the first thing before we even got on Kickstarter. We're calling manufacturers for like 6 months, and they're hanging up on us left and right. They're like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about.
You know what minimums are? Like, what are you trying to do? Do you have a tech pack, for your design? And we're like, no, we have an idea. And it wasn't until, one manufacturer actually wrote me an email back saying, I think you're onto something. I want to set you up with our pattern maker. And so we were off to the races, literally taking notes on our favorite men's and women's jeans. And it's crazy, to this day, that women's jeans still don't have functional deep pockets. Like it's revolutionary what we're offering here. And it's crazy that it is to have functional deep pockets. And so, we noticed at that time too, men's jeans really weren't comfortable. like there was no stretch,
Mhm.
but women's jeans were very fast fashion and, you know, wouldn't last very long at all, where men's were more durable. So we were like taking this, not only the fit, but like fabric, like all those things into
What we
consideration.
liked about both.
You making this first pair of slim straight jeans is what we launched on Kickstarter 10 years.
If this conversation is hitting deeper today, it might be because you know it's time. Applications are about to close for my exclusive 2-month private business coaching program. And this is for the person who is done playing trial and error with your income, okay? You know you're at the point where you need customized strategy, clear direction, and expert guidance to finally create consistent clients and sales. You've wasted enough time trying to figure it all out on your own, or toe dipping here and toe dipping a little bit over there, and now we're already halfway through the year and you're not where you want to be. So you probably realized by now that the real cost isn't the investment, it's what you lose by staying stagnant on where you're currently at. So if you want to move with intention, apply now. This is your window. I only take 4 private clients at a time. You can swipe up and access the application inside the show notes, or it's here in the description on YouTube on ProjectME TV. Either way, if you have that feeling and that zing going on in your body, like this dream of yours is not going to leave, you really want to take your business to the next level and create that lifestyle that you want for yourself and your family, you know what move to make. How long did it take from the idea to where you had like even your first samples in hand? Because you guys went all in, which I do always say, like, you want to do something, toe dipping isn't going to cut it. It's an all in play. So I commend you because that is terrifying.
Right.
So, I mean, that's wild in of itself. You met with all of these, you know, different manufacturers. You got ignored by all these different manufacturers. So how long did that take?
It was about 8 months, you know, conceptually about a year, you know, thinking about it, but really starting the process, it took 8 months. It took 6 months just to get our first sample. And for those of you that know, you know, the fashion world, actually, sampling can take just weeks. You know, like if I want to make a product right now, if it's not like something new and like, you know, that we have to take a lot of time to develop, I can get a sample within weeks. But it took 6 months to get our first sample because everyone was just, it was either very, very feminine or too masculine or just, it just was off until like we were really satisfied with one sample. And it was 2. It was in my size and Charisse's size. And then we just found a bunch of friends and, you know, asked them their size. We had everybody try on these 2 pairs of jeans, everybody. And they were saying like, they just loved it. And I think just hearing that was like, okay, let's do this. How do we do this? You know, at that time I was following Tim Ferriss, and he had, you know, talked about how to raise a, you know, successful Kickstarter campaign. I literally took it word for word, taking my notes, Tiffany, like I did for when you spoke, and we successfully launched, you know, our first campaign.
And how much did you generate from that campaign? It had to have gotten you something.
Right. So our goal was 18 grand and we did 26,000. And we were
That's
like,
amazing.
yes, you know, and got our very first, it was like 300 pairs of jeans in. And at that time, again, we didn't know about margins or business and like what we were going to do next. We sold out of those so quickly. And then it was like a year of, okay, now what? You know, like, how do we get capital? We were like going to banks and they're like, no, that's not going to cut it. You did this Kickstarter campaign like back months ago, like, you know, they needed more. And so, you know, what we ended up doing was taking that same kind of Kickstarter model to our own website, a Shopify store. And what we would do is in our next product, which is another, you know, core product of ours, our button-up shirts. With our button-up shirts, we added these hidden snaps behind the button placket here to prevent the dreaded chest gap, you know, with button-up shirts. And so what we did was, you know, because we're LGBTQ, there's a lot of brands out there that are kind of like politically driven, and we are not. We want to make sure everyone feels welcome, and it's all about confidence. We don't use pronouns. We're just Dapper Boi. We're just Dapper Boi. Yeah. And so what we did was we did these crazy videos with me and my friends wearing this one color button-up shirt, all of us together. I mean, we wrote like 90s R&B, like button-up scripts, dancing around, and people just thought we were crazy. And they were just sharing our videos, like, because they were so hilarious.
This was in like 2015 before viral was a thing. On Facebook, we were popping off, and it was so fun
Wow.
because
Yeah.
we would just do these hilarious videos and we addressed the problem, but in a very humorous way that people could relate to, and it was shareable. And we always had just our friends want to do these videos, and then people started to relate and say, "Oh my gosh, Celeste, what size is she? I can see myself in,
Yep.
you know, in what she's wearing. What size does she wear? Oh, Vicky, she's my body type. What is she wearing?" And so people got to know us by name. They got to know us
Yep.
by model name. And I think what was cool is we were different, but in an approachable way. We didn't have models that were a size 0. We had models that looked like everyday people.
Right.
And again, we were humorous. So this was very shareable content. Again, I like to say we created a viral moment before there was a word for it on Facebook, right? It's like, it just was so cool. And we were so consistent with it that we gained this really cool following. And yeah.
So imagine not having sales for a whole year, thinking like, should we even do this anymore? Do we need to do another Kickstarter? To now doing this model on our site and doing in that first one color button-up shirt, 30,000 within 3 weeks.
Wow.
that was a
All
big
from
deal.
organic
Yes.
marketing.
Yes.
And how did you get the capital to buy the inventory to fulfill these orders when you weren't getting loans from a bank and you already blew through the other fundraising you had?
Right. So this is the model that we use to scale over $1 million a year. So what we would do is we would have these manufacturers send us over samples, and those would be, you know, the sizes of our friends. We would do these videos and we would launch it, and we would say, hey, everybody, you know, we want to make this product. It was a great way to test a product too, because there's some products we didn't make because there wasn't enough, you know, desire to hit the minimum. And so we would say is get in on it now for intro pricing, which is like a discounted price for 3 weeks only. And so we created this crazy loyal following, FOMO within people, because they knew every campaign we would sell out. And so we would sell out at that price and still have it, you know, a 50% margin, sell out, and then we would pay the manufacturer, the product would come. It's not ideal. It wasn't meant to be a long-term thing, especially, you know, in an Amazon Prime kind of world where deliveries are so quick, you know, like these people would have to wait 6 to 12 weeks.
But for specialty items that there's not just a place to get it, you know, on all different websites, we are trained and conditioned in the, you know, world of consumership where we will wait a little bit for something that's special. So how long did they have to wait from giving you the money to secure their shirt until they actually got it at their house?
Typically about 2 months, 2 to 3 months even.
And they still did it, even though they're waiting that long.
Yes. So we were just doing, and then at that point too, so we would start, you know, every quarter maybe doing a drop, but then it turned into every month. And then it was like, you know, 2 to 4 times a month. We would say, hey, now we have 5 colorways in this button ups, you know, in this button up. And they were never custom, you know, it was always like, as in like fabric, it was stock fabric. So our manufacturer would be like, we'd be talking on WhatsApp and, you know, or whatever at that point, they'd send us pictures of different fabrics. And I'm like, let's go, like, just do a sample there, go ahead and reserve that fabric. And then we would just start building like that.
And then you were able to also know in terms of sizes what to order. You weren't like, you weren't ordering, you know, so many mediums when the majority of your people wanted larges.
Right, exactly. And at the same time too, you know, what I didn't mention is it was so important for our brand to be size inclusive. You know, in our sizing for our jeans line up with men's sizing, it was just easier. It's not so vanity, you know, it's not a size 0, you know, it's 20.
Thank you. Or in Los Angeles, the 00.
Double zero. Extra nothing. Yeah, so our sizes go from 26 to 52, which is really unheard of in mainstream retail to have one place. I did this test recently just to see if it's changed for me, you know, because I'm considered a plus size person and I have to shop in the men's big and tall. And so like I went in there and recently and tried on like a button-up shirt and it was swimming on me. I was the smallest of sizes there, but in a mainstream like Macy's, I go in there and I'm the largest size and it barely fits me. And so it still is a problem to this day. And we want people to feel like not ostracized, but whatever size, like you have to go to the specialty store. We want everybody to feel welcome. And so we were, as people wanted more size, we continued to actually increase. And so we were able to gauge, and maybe we don't sell as many of those sizes, but our manufacturers, we have this relationship where we could get away with ordering, if we're ordering 300 total, we could order 5 in size 52 or, smaller amounts. So it's really a great way to gauge and not sit on a lot of inventory too. And we were able to just kind of blow through that every single time.
How did you guys handle the infamous returns, especially early on? And how has that morphed today? Because, in a physical product industry, right? Like returns can really cripple a company.
Yeah, absolutely. We always had enough to cover it. And when we didn't, we used gift cards. I think for us, the biggest thing is transparency within our customers if we have the product or not. And of course, that's disappointing if we didn't have any inventory left to sell, but we've always had kind of just enough. There's only been a few cases. But yes, as for returns, because we are such a hybrid size too, it is a thing, and
but also I was going to say, as we started to get bigger and bigger, we no longer, like at one point when we started moving into an office space, we had one office, then we moved to 2, and then we got to 3, and we were like, oh my gosh, we need to start thinking about a 3PL. So we started looking into 3PLs. I think we did 3 or 4, and they all messed up. And for a small brand, even if you have a 10% error rate, that could be detrimental to a brand like ours. So what we actually did is we worked with our employees. They're so great, amazing attention to detail. We have 2 part-time employees. We actually talked to them about opening their own fulfillment center. And so you should definitely.
So we would get literally, imagine us like a suede bomber jacket, getting that back from a fulfillment center, duct taped. You can't resell that, anything like that. So we had to get crafty. We ended up giving them a loan to start it, which they paid back within months. And we were their first customer. So they're right in San Diego.
You guys have an amazing ability. And I always say this about successful entrepreneurs where, you know what, you figured it out. Right? You get creative, you get crafty, you figure it out. And that's also how you can even invent a new way of doing things. So the way you guys did that when it came to pre-selling, now we've seen other, smaller brands do that. I don't remember people doing that back then.
Right. No.
Were you guys one of the first to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just because we had to figure, this was our way. This was our pivot around, how do we do this without capital? I mean, we were told no left and right. We had to come up with something. It was Kickstarter, that really put that whole idea in our minds to do it that way.
How many employees did you start with, and where are we at now?
We're still quite small. So when did we hire Celeste? It was 2017, I believe. We started in 15, and then we're in 25 now, and we have Celeste and her brother.
So you guys are able to do this level of revenue, and there's 4 of you.
Yes, yeah, and they're part-time, and we were just about to hire on an executive assistant now. We do use some outside contractors for PR, for paid ads, and that's about it.
It's so interesting. Sometimes, we're constantly changing hats. So sometimes I'm in mom mode. Sometimes I'm the janitor, and sometimes I'm making executive level decisions on marketing. It's insane, but it's really fun.
Yeah, it's really forced us to learn every aspect of the business. You can't say that we don't know any part
And on top of it, as someone who does invest in companies, I like hearing how you keep your bottom line. You keep that low, you keep it lean. But you're still, so that's why your margins are also so good, is because you don't have some big fancy office and you don't have all these different employees from all these different places. You're really mindful of that, it sounds like.
Yes, definitely.
So when did you guys really start having lots of mass media and press hitting you up? Was it right away when you were going viral on Facebook? Who the fuck goes viral on Facebook, by the way? That's amazing.
You know what's interesting is it takes me back to Kickstarter days. We were doing all things. I remember I was just looking up reporters, even during Kickstarter days, on Twitter, on our Kickstarter, during our Kickstarter campaign, we even got placement on like Entrepreneur Magazine. We were on local news media. I mean, we pimped ourselves out hard and we continue to do so. What I will say is because it's so hard to get on Shark Tank, which again, I'm fast forwarding, but we have been on Shark Tank. It's been a couple years now, but that's really opened up a lot of press opportunities for us. Prior to that, we had some consistent stuff, but yeah, I feel like Shark Tank really opened up a lot of doors for us.
Well, a lot of business owners listening make the assumption that like some people just get lucky, you know someone, you have a relative who's a celebrity, and like they just sit back like hoping that they're going to get on, you know, a TV show or they're going to get some press. So you guys acted as in the beginning your own publicist, like you went and pitched these people.
Yeah, literally how we would do it in the beginning is and getting this coverage like Entrepreneur and all that. We would just look up, it was hashtags of, you know, gender neutral fashion, you know, androgynous, you know, things like that, and see any writer that would write about, you know, these kind of topics. And then we would just reach out nonstop. It was just blanket reaching out to people. And then people started writing back. So, and we had a, you know, I think I had at that time, it was Fiverr that I was using to write, you know, people helping me write a press release and things like that. You know, you just had to figure it out.
I know.
Yeah, this was before ChatGPT, everybody.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
So we had to do it the damn extra hard way. All right. It was before TikTok.
Yes.
You know, like now, you know, that's like, it's like grandmother Tiff comes in. It's like, you guys have no idea, those of you starting now, what we had to do.
You know,
It's true though.
Yeah.
I mean, because now is like a better time than ever. So did you guys apply and pitch to be on Shark Tank, or were you getting so much press and because of your virality, like they hit you up?
Yes.
This was our second time applying. We actually applied in 2015. We didn't
When
get
we
it.
first
We got
started.
pretty close. And then we had applied again. And then we didn't hear for like, what, a year or two?
It was a year. Yeah, I applied a year before, and then somebody reached out via email, and I was like, is this for real? And then the next thing you know, I'm on these phone calls, and it's months long of these phone calls with producers, and it was a process. Shark Tank was a process.
Intense.
They need to also make sure you're like psychologically sound.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, they do.
A lot of people don't realize that. I'm like, I may or may not pass that part of the test.
And you know what's crazy is we were going through the craziest time in our lives in business. It was just insane. So just to give you a holistic picture of everything that was going on, this is after we were dealing with the effects of COVID. So imagine we have the pre-order model. Everything's going well. We're living our best life.
2021.
2021.
We hit 1.2 million in sales.
And we were like, oh my gosh, we're doing so well. This is so great. Then the COVID supply chain issue hits us. And when you have this like wheel that's going well, you just need one wrench to ruin that and everything goes south. So when supply chain issues happen, imagine our customers are now stacked 2, 3, 4 campaigns deep. We couldn't ethically launch another campaign. And then with no capital coming in
no inventory,
we started getting into a position where we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Also, at the same time, we get approached. We were in this amazing documentary called Show Her the Money. It's this beautiful documentary talking about how female founders only get 2% of VC funding, which is such a terrible stat. And at first, when we had said yes to being on it, Vicky thought that she was pitching, you know, to a potential investor. Little did we know that we were giving our whole vulnerable story. And they're like, oh, this is so great for the storyline. You guys will be great founders to feature. So we have this camera crew following us. We're also in the middle of all things Shark Tank. I mean, that was like 40 hours a week of like all of it. It felt like due diligence.
Yeah,
like every week it was more and more requirements that we needed to meet in order to move further in the process. And at the same time, we have cameras in our house. Vicky looks at me and she's like, babe, we are running out of options. I've hit up every single investor. These supply chain issues are going to sink us. I think we need to sell our home to save the business.
And did
and
you?
this is all being documented.
And
we did.
We had the camera crew there, and they caught a very private moment, and I'm so glad, because I think there's power in vulnerability. And you know, when Vicky had approached me and asked me that, there's very few moments in our Dapper Boi, relationship where a decision that we were making would affect our home life and our business life. And so Vicky knows that, like, we have to be aligned on every single thing. She had asked me, and for a couple weeks I said no. And then we did this really impactful exercise, and it changed everything.
Yeah. So what we did was a goal setting meeting, just like our small team. And I said, okay, let's dream big here. Where would the company be in a month if we were hit goals? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. I always speak into existence. We're the next Levi's of all gender fashion. We're all excited. This is where we can be. But then the gut punch question really is where would the world be without Dapper Boi in 10 years? And then you remember all of those stories, of the customers that were changing their life, and I tell this story frequently now because it's like that kind of impact is, years ago, we had a mom reach out to us with a 14-year-old child that was suicidal. And she wanted to thank us for existing because her child started smiling again, relating to one of our crazy video ads and felt like she belonged on this earth. Like these are the kind of stories that like we couldn't just let go. I mean, we were just going up. It was just a problem of like inventory, like it's not a problem of our product or, what we're doing for our customers. So it was at that point, a no-brainer conversation. We had to do it.
And that's why it has to be, and as cliche as it sounds, right? Like you have to find your why. But the reality is, and there is no entrepreneur who hasn't been around long enough that hasn't hit those moments in business, no matter, you guys, what it looks like on the outside. That's why I'm so happy you two came on, because I knew you'd keep it real, where you're going, do we need to quit? Like, we don't want to, but like we might, like, do we have to? Because we like can't go live in a tent. Like, we also have to be realistic here. And it's something so much bigger than yourself, right? That made you go. So you use the money from selling your house in order to get the capital that you needed, because you were not getting any funding at that time.
Right. Everyone was telling us no. They're like, oh, what's this decline in sales? And all of a sudden, where we had to take on, and nobody talks about this either, is MCA debt, merchant cash advance loans, which are extremely like rocket, like so high predatory, high interest, high risk.
It's
loans.
Basically how you can get inventory, but it's like a quick loan. It's like insane interest.
Right. We're paying like thousands a day, to pay that, and
I didn't know it was that high. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They pay daily rates, but that was the only kind of cash we were getting approved for. So now we're getting swallowed up in this, still waiting for inventory. Like we just need this, but we still have to fulfill those orders and pay to ship those. So it was like so much bigger. And so none of this money was about growth. It was about plugging in and patching holes
and serving your current customers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And all of it's being documented. You're working more than ever because the Shark Tank thing is like a separate full-time job. So you had to be like, that had to be like close to your breaking point.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's a lot of fears.
We were on Shark Tank. We were in the green room, like waiting for us to hit set. And I remember watching my phone, seeing the Ring app of people walking in, going to our open house. And I looked at Vicky. I was like, if we don't sell our house in the first weekend, we won't make rent on our rental. I mean, everything was just so dire. But, I do want to take it back because I love what you said. It's like, well, first off, fundraising, there's no way that I could say, go to an investor and say, invest in me if I'm not willing to invest in ourselves and our business, right? It's like, you have to be willing to go all in.
If what we're talking about right now is lighting something up in you and you're ready to actually apply this to your business in a real, tangible way, like no more hoarding information, like actually implementing and taking action on that information so you can get those profits flowing, honey, here's how I can support you right now. So if you are tired of guessing your way through growing your business, my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership is where you get out of the overthinking spiral and into clear, simple strategy that actually works. It is specifically designed for you to go from $0 to $15,000 plus per month online. So you can already have an in-person business, but if you're wanting to have a separate leg of your business that's specifically for generating cash and clients online, this is still the place for you. Inside the Posse, you'll get my proven frameworks monthly live coaching when it comes to like manifestation and deeper mindset stuff that really are what millionaires are using to have that extra edge. You get weekly live trainings with me and other special guest experts of community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, much like what you're hearing today, and support that meets you where you are, whether you're starting out or scaling up. So it's time to stop DIYing your dream and start making consistent money with more ease. Join us inside the only group coaching membership of its kind in the world. We have spring new member enrollment going on right now, so there are some spots left. If you go to the page and it says it's full, we can't add anyone else at this time. I do keep this membership capped at an intimate size, so in integrity, I can refer to it as a group coaching membership and give you that experience so you get those results. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/Project Me Posse. You can also swipe up here in the show notes and access the direct link on YouTube at Project Me TV.
And also, we are so plan A all the way, because I truly believe that even if you put 2% into plan B, you're not all in, because that 100% energy, like, why would you waste it on the what ifs when you could put that energy all into your business? And if you're going to bet on yourself, there's no way that you can fail, especially a business like ours. We have 10 years worth of data of how much our brand needs to exist, and the only thing that's missing is capital. You better damn believe that the other thing that isn't going to be missing is my hard work, my blood, sweat, tears, belief, and manifestation. I mean, even during the times that things got hard, like, we were like, oh shit, like, how are we going to like survive another day? We would pack up our girls in the car and we're like, we're going to take a dream drive. We have this one neighborhood in San Diego that is like, one day we will live here. And we would get the girls in the car, we would drive, and we're like, oh, what do you guys think about this house? And what do you think your bedroom's going to look like? You guys want bunk beds? You got it. What else? What color is your room going to be? We made them envision every single thing, like not just what the room looked like, how they felt, what it would, I mean, girl, we were walking into open houses believing that we were going to buy these houses.
Girl, you're speaking my language. Okay. I am all about that, because you are putting that energy out there. This is a blip. Like, this is happening. Like, our success is inevitable. We already know that. This is just a period where it's growing pains and we have to figure it out, and we will. So now we're at the Shark Tank. You got the deal. You went through all of the stuff to get on there. And did you guys, everyone always wants to know this, did you guys have like, what was your discussion ahead of time? Was there a certain shark you wanted? What was your, like, did you have certain number boundaries that you were willing to go at? Did you guys have like a smoke signal to one another if we were going to take something or not? How much preparation was happening here?
I mean, this was our every single day, life. And, we wanted Damon because we figured he had FUBU. He understood, especially in the clothing industry, because that can be tough, especially when talking to investors. I can't tell you the amount of times people say to me, well, clothing's really hard. And it is, but this isn't just clothing here. This is like a complete confidence shift. And so I thought he would get it. And so we were kind of, banking on him, or Mark Cuban. We really like him as well.
Well, honestly, what was going on is I let Vicky take on all things Shark Tank. I had to pack up a whole 2,000 square foot home, worry about like getting the house sold and all of that. But when we were on set, literally the producers are doing the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I look at Vicky and I'm like, holy shit, we're on Shark Tank. And she goes, no shit. And I think that my strength is compartmentalizing so I don't get overwhelmed. But that was like such an extreme coping mechanism. I looked at her and I'm like, oh my God, we are on Shark Tank.
We were just going through motion.
We have so many things going on. Fast forward, we didn't get Damon. They're sharks. They're called sharks for a reason. It was an intense episode.
We were in the tank. They only show 5 minutes. You're actually in there for over an hour with them.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, it was insane. And So we didn't get Damon.
We didn't get a deal.
We didn't get a deal. And, you know, I think it's the best blessing in disguise. And because everybody's like, okay, well, you know, you still got the exposure, but Shark Tank is the gift that keeps on giving, because it's really awesome that, I mean, it's so hard to get on. We're so fortunate that we got on. We've had so many, we had someone reach out and they were like, I can't tell you enough thanks, because of you. My dad is an avid Shark Tank watcher, and because of you, we haven't talked for years. And he literally wrote me and said, check out Shark Tank, check out
Because
Dapper Boi.
she was a lesbian and he didn't agree with her lifestyle and all of that too, so they hadn't spoken in years.
Right.
And so for him to break the ice based on that episode of like check out Dapper Boi, it was like validating for her. And so like that, we've heard multiple stories like that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the most successful companies out of Shark Tank did not get a deal.
Right.
Yeah.
In the moment, I mean, we weren't like, this is a blessing. We were like devastated.
Of course not. You're like, you believe in your company. So like, how did we not get a deal? Did you guys get an offer and the negotiation didn't go well? Or was it across the board? You didn't even get an offer.
No.
It was no. We got Damon's, you know, at the end, he like came running out and was like, you know, I want to help mentor you. And he did that on the episode. And so there was that, you know, but afterwards it just felt like, you know, devastating, because we were in this position. And we said on the show, you know, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the episode, but they were like, how much is in your bank account? And we had $100. And that was like Dapper Boi / personal. Like that was where we were at. And that's why Charisse is saying,
to get there.
We were like, our friends like came and I'm like, we can't pay you to go there, but like you'll get to be on Shark Tank, you know, to be the models, you know, on the show. It was like that. And what Charisse is saying that is so true. Like we were expecting, we had to sell, you know, very quickly the house. And so like watching the open house from our little like cam or app.
How did you resurrect your mindset back into a space of like abundance from being in fear? Because I could imagine you probably at some point told yourself a story of, okay, all this is going on, it's all a mess, but like we're going to get a deal and it's going to be like the sky is parted, you know, and then you get that hit and that didn't happen. How do you resurrect from that? Because that's a tough moment.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, from then to now, I feel like a different person based on these lessons learned, you know, but it took a little bit. It was not like even overnight. Like we were like crying together, you know, after, just like, because you have such high hopes, especially a show like this. And I felt like we had it all together. And, you know, that was hearing that we had $100 in our bank account. And I'm sure that they're thinking that we don't make wise financial decisions and all that too. And I think there was also, you know, a lesson learned as in you can never come from a place of desperation.
Yep.
And maybe, you know, they could feel that, you know, because that's where we were at. We were feeling, it was hard not to disguise that. You know, and but it was a miss. I do think also it's helped me in how I pitch my business to people, because I really feel like they didn't walk away with the full picture of Dapper Boi. I think that they just thought we're this cute little niche LGBT little lesbian brand. And that's
I could see how someone quickly could put you there, because people love labels and they love categorizing people. It's how our brains work. Right. So I could see that forced you into going, how can we tell the story and paint it in a clear way where people get it?
Right. Yeah. And it comes down to, again, like after that, what do we do to shift is like we started diversifying our models more. You know, it's not just women that look more masculine like me. We have, you know, super femme women like my wife wearing our jeans that are a game changer. Yes. You, Tiffany.
This is how even though like I go all over the place because I need to feel free. I can't be trapped. So I can go wear like a flowery dress. But like I also like my ass can rock a suit. You know what I'm saying? Like I like having the options, but but I also, if it's all about the fit and the feel, if it doesn't fit and feel good, you know, I'm not wearing it. So I love that you saw the need for that, because if you hadn't done that and you stayed in your community, not that that wouldn't be valid, but you would get pigeonholed in that.
Totally. And we wouldn't be able to scale in that way, or, you know, pitch to VC and be this next Levi's, you know, that I keep talking about. We have like men coming to us that are straight cis men that shop or that are plus size, that's had the same problem as me. We also have super athletic men and women that are saying, oh my God, I can't fit because I have thick thighs, thick muscly thighs that your jeans are a game changer for me too. So it really is all walks of life, and it's based on fit. It's trans folks. It's everybody.
I think also what's changed about the way that we approach business is post Shark Tank, we had a moment where we felt discouraged, but we really looked at each other and we were like, it's time to take control of the narrative, because we're not going to let them tell our story, because there's so much power in the story of resilience and how many knows. It's a numbers game. You have to be told so many times, because inevitably you're going to be told yes. So once we started sharing our founder story, we started doing more panels. Again, this was through Show Her the Money. But once we really started honing in on our founder story, it made it so much more organic to have conversations with investors, because investors are going to invest in founders that they believe in first and foremost before they invest in the business. Because you can have a great business idea, but if you don't have a great leader, the business is never going to thrive. So once we started taking control, telling our story of how we got through the toughest of times, it became easier for us to have those conversations with investors.
Right.
Yeah.
What people don't know, actually, and because they didn't show us this on the show, is we were talking to an investor, and we were hoping that was going to come to fruition. And the morning that we were filming on Shark Tank, she signed off on a $250,000 safe note, so investment that was going to be coming through. And so we had told, when they said, how much is in your bank account, we said $100. What they cut out was like, we said, but we actually got an investor like this morning. She's gonna invest in us, and they were actually all cheering and so excited for us. But it's about the drama.
Did you guys get a insane surge of sales once this aired? And did you have this inventory issue solved by the time the show aired?
Yeah, so it was like 7 months later that the show
thank God.
Right. So we had our lead investor by then, and a few more angel investors come on board from that time. So yes, we had inventory, and it was a great weekend. Like, but that
20% of people that record for Shark Tank don't make it to air. So there's still that small probability that you recorded, you could have even gotten a deal from a shark, but you don't get to air. So it's all still like.
So we were waiting, like, are we going to actually air?
And then wow. So thank God, you guys. I mean, obviously you made some good TV, or you would not have been selected to air. That's a blessing in of itself, because you were able to get all the sales, refine your pitch, and you also were able to leverage that, it sounds like, to get a lot of other press, and I'm guessing attention from investors too, right?
Yes. It's just validation, definitely. And then, like, all along with the and we're in this documentary, and so it was just like this domino effect of, like, it was crazy for a whole year, and then all of a sudden things started happening.
What does the fundraising side really look like? Because when you see people on social media talking about it, and I understand why people just show like the glamorous part of it because they want to make it look good, right? Like, oh, I have this investor now and that investor now, and we already closed our first round. And it's like, wow, these people are able to get money, so easily. What has been your experience with that?
Yeah, it's been extremely challenging. And that's an understatement to say. Even from that day, it wasn't just everything amazing after that first $250K investment. We've been trying to raise $2 million and not a dollar less. $2 million will get us exactly what we need to expand and scale, this first phase of our business. And so, we were getting a lot of small investments throughout the years. And we're still fundraising, and believe it or not, in real time, we're having this conversation. We're still raising that $2 million. And this is how many years later? And this is the story that's like not really being told. And that's a kind of a vulnerable situation, because there's so much amazing press around us. Like, we just got onto Nordstrom.com. We just announced this. Like, Forbes covered that story, by the way.
Wow.
Doing an article.
Inc. Magazine's 2025
the female
Female
500 founders.
500.
And
Yeah.
you guys still have, like, is your organic content still popping?
Oh, we
Totally.
pop off.
So
Yeah.
you have the audience, you have an email list, you've
Yes.
got proof of concept, you have a gazillion heartfelt testimonials, you
Yes.
have the press, and it still isn't a shoo-in to get the funds.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, we miss full seasons at a time. Our customers' biggest complaint is you're sold out every time I come to your site, and that shouldn't be a problem that they have. We want to be, our goal is to have our core products, our jeans, chino pants, t-shirt packs in stock all the time. But these limited drops for us, without doing pre-orders is everything. Like that's where people have that FOMO. They come in, they know. I mean, we have a 51% repeat customer rate in a world that in fashion strives for 28. And so like these people, VIP shop with us on average 9 times a year. We have over 50,000 email subscribers. We have over 40,000 customers. And so, I always think like, man, this is a no-brainer. And, I have a white male cousin in New York City, and he's launched multiple businesses, and he can get checks 4 million within 3 weeks of writing his idea on a napkin. And he was shocked to hear that we've been raising $2 million for how many years now.
Do you think that this goes back to the stat that you shared earlier about how only 2% of funding goes to women?
And less than 1% goes to LGBT. So I think, it's sad statistics, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. I think that, yes, that definitely plays into it. And people see us as, again, still like that small niche that they're just uncertain about, especially when it comes to clothing. It could also be, again, learning this fundraising process. Maybe we're not talking to the right folks, that get this world. We have a lot of angel investors for like small checks, like 10, 25K. And those are great. But again, those are just plugs where like we've never had a lump sum of cash to be able to put into growth, like getting 2 seasons ahead where we're not like chasing our tails. Like our biggest problem is like, okay, this is a great example, just to be super real here. We hadn't had, even 2024, we did our best year yet, by the way, 1.36 million. Because that was down, remember 2021, 2022 was really hard for us. We went down to like 500. We were back up to 1.36. And what happened was we still didn't have many new drops. It was based on like core products. September of last year, we hit $270,000 in sales. And that was with 2 new product drops, a button-up shirt and some new jeans, the skinny jeans. And people were just like, our investors were so excited. And what happened was when we have capital, we're like, okay, what do we use this for? Inventory. We're putting in purchase orders ASAP. And then we're also testing new marketing channels at that time. So that cash doesn't last long. And then there's this waiting period because you don't just get the inventory that same day. And you're, by the way, now in Q4 and dealing with, the holiday, and
before you know it, it's Christmas, but it's really like March.
Yes. So we don't get production. You're spot on. We don't get productions till February, March. And so like you see our sales start decreasing and our spend is still up. Now we're trying to decrease and everything is going down. And now you go out for funding and they're like, what happened to your sales? And you're just like, we're still in this like bootstrap mode where we have to wait on inventory. We need this lump sum of cash to get ahead. So like this has still been the challenge for us is fundraising and all that too. And I'm pitching left and right and learning this world and trying to talk to the right folks. But even from the loan perspective, it's been just challenging to
mentally. How you guys clearly are able to really get your head back in the game. You get rattled and you're able to get back in like on an Olympic athlete level. I'm seeing. Tell us what you do, some of the things that you do, because I share a lot of it on the show. I mean, I get knocked around, I always resurrect, but sometimes you hear me behind the scenes. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, this is too much. Like, I know I have a bigger mission here, but like, I can only take so much. I really have true moments like that where I contemplate it for a solid week, sometimes 2 weeks where, and then I end up getting over myself and coming back again. Tell us what you do, because clearly what you do is working.
Yeah, we have to really rely on each other and there hasn't been a time actually where we're both down at the same time, which is so helpful. So I can see what you're saying here. To have that a partner though has been, I could have been crying under a desk for weeks, you know, and because Charisse has that mentality of compartmentalization, she's like, okay, take your moment, but on a whiteboard, I'm writing down action items that we can do every single day, you know, and so that there's that. But I think for me mentally, what has truly, truly helped, our friends gave us these journals. It's like the 5-minute journal. And I have not missed, I've done this the last 2 months now straight, never missed a morning or a night. And I look forward to it. And every single day, it's been a game changer for me. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. You know, like this morning, it's simple things. I hear our girls in the monitor, you know, and I hear them talking to each other in their little 7-year-old voices. And those like simple, sweet moments is like brought me so much joy when you're feeling like so uncertain, or like understanding that I have this partner here that's not only hot.
She's
oh, brownie points. Okay.
I concur.
She's so supportive, and like she's never wavered in her belief in me or our mission and where we're going, and you know that is so key. And then it's just like grateful for my own optimism through the most challenging of times and having the ability to pivot. And then right after that, what would make today great? You know, having a great podcast with Tiffany. I wrote that, you know, like, and then after that, what are my affirmations? And so that's literally what I write in the morning. And then at night, what would happen today? Like, what did you learn?
Yeah.
And like, it just puts me in a different mindset. And it's like, I can do this. I got this, even though it's a shit show. It could be, you know, but that helps. And it just reminds me again, like, this is a small blip. You know, we have big things, big dreams.
Well, when we were leaving the She Leads event, one of the questions the last keynote speaker asked is, what is your career crush and why are you not going after it? And we were driving home and I was like, you know, we both had really great positions in the corporate world. And I looked at her, I was like, thank God we started Dapper Boi. And here's why. When I was pregnant with our girls, I had a very high risk pregnancy. I was on bed rest for 5 weeks at home, and then I was hospitalized bed rest for 6 weeks. And every day, Vicky was right by my hospital bed with her laptop, able to work. What corporate job would let you do that? Right?
Not in America.
Not in America. Right. And then when I was, you know, first time mom, like when we had these twins, I had never changed a diaper. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, let alone like one would cry, one would sleep. I was like, oh, hell no. Like, I can't do this. And Vicky was home with me for like a week and she was like, okay, I need to go back to the office. I was like, the hell you aren't. You better build me a nursery at the office. And she did.
And those girls are there, we'd be girls are there, we'd be packing orders.
We have cribs there. And like every 3 hours we would feed them, but I would like help with customer support orders. And like, that's my career crush, that we could have the work and life balance, that like, just because life was going on, I didn't need to like change things around or feel like separated from my home. That's how you go into like these mental health like slumps. That's how you don't perform your best. And the fact that we had that kind of entrepreneurial freedom to have our family still work together, still be aligned in literally all things, that is literally the dream. That is my career crush. And we are so fortunate that we have that opportunity and that freedom. Yeah, it may come with some crazy ass times 99% of the time. But God, like, to think about all the like blessings that we've had in this journey, we're so lucky that we are entrepreneurs together, like total career crush, like fulfilled.
So that's where you focus, is on the abundance. It's not, even the money might not be coming in right now in the time you want it and the way you want it, but you focus on the other forms of abundance that it's bringing, and that keeps you in what I call the abundance zone. And my audience would kill me if I didn't ask you guys this. You have to have some kind of money noise that comes up, because we all do. I do too, right? Like at different phases. And I was making $17,000 a year, right? That was a different kind of money noise. I was like, I cannot eat ramen ever again. And then once I started stacking millions, my money noise shifted to, oh my God, I'm going to lose it all, or someone's going to sue me, or then it shifts to some other area. what is a consistent money noise thought that you both have to manage? Like simmer down, Susan. Like you have to talk to it.
Yeah, I think it is both the extremes of, can we make rent? Can we make our house rent? We pay ourselves last in this business still, and we're both working full-time Dapper Boy. That's a real thing. So coming around the first of the month, I'm always, it's that question that for me. And then I would say, when we get this money, when we're going to sell for millions of dollars, we have to be careful. We like nice things too, and not to go crazy. And how do we invest and move, pay it forward? Not only that, but having that kind of abundance with a lot of streams of revenue. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with the latest, news with the tariffs, I do want you to touch on that, because now it's another point in the full, beautiful years of your journey of Dapper Boi.
Right.
And when you guys are sharing this, like if I made like a chart, it's like we're riding high, side whack. We're riding high, side whack again. We're riding high. I mean, that builds a lot of resilience. And this tariff side whack, how is this affecting you in the clothing world?
Oh yeah, it's big time. And it's crazy though, because I will say with all these side whacks, it has created this steel around us where it's like, okay, we're just taking a deep breath real quick and dealing with it instead of, again, crying and hiding under your desk. But I will say with this, it was challenging. I mean, one of our main manufacturers in China, and I know people have like, perceptions, about, China, but I will say our manufacturer in China is absolutely wonderful. They're a young team that have come to the US many times. We actually like get along. We like them. They've given us great payment terms because they actually believe in our mission. Like they helped us make products and came up with little tweaks of how we can do things better. Like they go above and beyond. And so I was so bummed to hear, the news of when this all happened. And we had to think, how do we pivot? We started talking to other countries. We started talking to, this is a great example, a manufacturer in India that has an all women owned facility, which is like they do some really cool stuff, and we were having great conversations. And then when I said, okay, we want to try a production with you, and they were like, well, when do you need it? And I gave my normal like 2 months, and they were like, kind of started laughing, and they're like, well, with all the tariffs, everybody has moved over to India now, and our factories are swamped, and you have big companies like Uniqlo and,
right. And they get precedent because they have a bigger
exactly. So
deal.
Us small guys get, shit on. And so, we kind of started, we had a real chats, and, we're actually going to be making a really huge move very soon.
She came to me and said, I have an idea.
I have an idea. Again,
okay.
I'm seeing the theme.
Yeah. So okay, backtrack. The last year we've been talking to this company in the UK, and it was always our goal because we have customers throughout Europe right now anyway. And the biggest complaint from them is, man, the duties I have to pay when I ship products, sometimes more than the product. Like, when are you guys going to be here? And our goal was to, utilize fulfillment centers in these countries and be able to just ship in that way. But with everything happening, and I got really sick, so I was sitting on the couch because usually I don't have time for all of the scrolling and stuff like that. And I had time because I was sick, and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm on the TikTok, I'm going down that, and I'm seeing all these people like life in Spain and life in Portugal. And, you can become a citizen and leave the United States. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I wonder if we could do that. And you know what? Maybe this is our time, because I don't want the narrative of Dapper Boi, of out of all these, punches that we've gotten here, to be out of our control due to the government, And so I was like, what if we just moved overseas? We have boots on the ground, meeting people, meeting influencers, talking to business folks, talking to fashion people, and start a real expansion overseas. And so, I was like, well, we could go to the UK. We already have that, those relationships. We're actually working with teams there already. Let's just do that. And then I was like, I love California so much, and I can't deal with that weather.
I
I'm
couldn't deal
from
with
upstate New
I
York
couldn't deal with it
originally, so
either. It's too
no,
dreary.
no. And it's expensive, in London. And so I was like, what's the next best thing? Spain. And I saw Valencia, Spain is like the San Diego of Spain. And I'm like, sold. I started down that. I started showing Charisse all these videos about Valencia, Spain. Next thing you know, we're looking up Montessori schools for our girls. Next thing you know, we're enrolled in it. And next thing you know, we hired a company to help us relocate, go through the visa process. It's only a 2-hour flight, to London. It's like $50 round trip. So we can do all of these things and expand Dapper Boi and be limitless. And it's very excited. This is going to be happening in August. We just let our investors know, and some of them have relationships already there. All these things keep lining up. One of our investors has a partner that's there that started a women's business organization in Valencia, of all places, and
You are getting clear confirmation from the universe that this is the move. And look, you had to get sick for your ass to sit down and scroll. So even when we get mad that we're sick, that's even the universe, right? Directing you and having you get to that moment. And this is probably when the whole game changes.
Yeah, I think so too. I do. New investors, new relationships. It's just exciting. And
New energy.
Yes, absolutely. Our girls just turned 7, they're twins. And I feel like this is the right age for them. They're going to learn a new culture, a new language. And who can say, here's what's crazy. I've never even been to Europe. Period. We're not going to visit first. We're just going there. These people are finding an apartment for us, and we're just going to literally have keys and go into a new.
Well, thankfully I have many times, and I feel very good about this for both of you.
Good.
Okay. Like really good. Like that is one of my favorite countries is Spain. So I will be visiting you guys. It's
well, if you endorse it, then we're doing good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such, what I love is that there is more of a sense of community and openness, and it's an expansive energy, and you're being called there for a reason, and you're trusting that. And so many people don't allow themselves to trust that. And you both are trusting that. And it's not some small move. I mean, you've got twins.
Yes, right. Exactly.
And you have that in you, right? You know that this is the move. It might be a chapter. It might be several chapters.
Yeah. We'll have a new dream drive. We're going to get rid of our cars, which is nuts because we're going to be living in a city. Never lived city life before, but we are beyond excited. And again, it just goes to show how, we are all in, with this business. It will succeed. And we know that.
Well, it is succeeding. It's not that it's not succeeding. It's that there's some holes and messiness, right? Like you said, you have proof of concept repeatedly. That's not what the issue is. That's the whole point of an investor, is that they know if I give money or I give counsel or advice or relationships, that fills the hole in order for you to get to where you want to go. So you actually are positioned and prime and have proof that you would be perfect for an investor. What do you want people to know, whether they want to buy as a customer from Dapper Boi or they're interested in an investment opportunity? Like where can they go? How can they learn more? We'll obviously have everything in the show notes, but I want to hear it from you guys.
Yeah, for sure. So for any customer, definitely check out our website, and it's dapperboi.com. But then we started an Instagram called Meet the Pashas, and that really shows it's our life, behind the scenes of this brand. We're showing the real, the raw, the founder journey, the day-to-day, the wins, we're about to share, actually you're the first time we've shared some of this stuff on the investment process. So I'm excited to share this episode through our following there. But Dapper Boi on Instagram is so fun also. So definitely check that out. And as for investment opportunities, I'm on LinkedIn, or you can email me, Vicky@dapperboi.com.
And are you taking investors of all levels, or do you guys have a certain minimum right now? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we're trying to finish out this 500K of the 2 million that we're raising, and the minimum investment is 25,000.
Which is incredibly low to be able to get in. So, those of you guys listening that are looking to diversify, which I highly suggest, especially right now, diversifying your portfolio where you have stocks, maybe you have rental properties, investing in other companies and people that you believe in to be able to get a buy-in at 25,000. This is not necessarily normal. And so I love that you are allowing it to be open to more people. It's not just for people who are sitting on millions of dollars,
Right.
because I know there's a lot of people who do want to invest in companies, but they're just not at that point yet, right, in their financial journey to even qualify to be able to do that. So I think that says a lot about you guys too.
Definitely. And it's really like what I have learned is it is a two-way street. We're really looking for aligned investors that truly believe in the mission. I mean, we've had even investors, even the most dire of times, that we have to turn away because they were like, I want royalties for life. And I don't really see you guys going so far, but like, I'll throw you 10K. And we're just like, I'm sorry, that's just not aligned. And it's so important to know that this is a long-term relationship. It's not a fast thing. It could be 5-10 years, or maybe we go to a Series A. It's just we want to execute our plan, and we know that we can, and we're excited. We're going to be that next unicorn company. A great example actually is True Classic Tees. They just announced, I think there were $300 million, and that is a t-shirt company for dad bods. If a t-shirt company for dad bods can do it, and they were just had this private equity deal, then we can do it, and even bigger.
Significantly bigger. I mean, I was joking in my Posse membership community, if a company can create something called dude wipes, which are just baby wipes for dudes with, good packaging and marketing. Okay. Like, I think we're all okay. Like you guys can do this.
Yes.
We're going to be fine. When has there been a new Levi's? When you think about that, like you're using that, like it's about time, right?
Yes.
Like that doesn't take away from like an old classic, but like truly, I can't think of any other jean brand or brand that actually does something similar. And I think it's time for something fresh.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows? Levi's could acquire us. Let Dapper Boi, run on its own, and this will just be an extension, and they'll just grow even more.
Hey, Levi's. I don't know who
right.
owns you, but but this is happening. You need to be listening to this. Like, checklist. This is the way. This is the fresh approach. And I love where you guys have gone with it. I can see where you're at as founders. Like you are the perfect example of people who you keep going. This is truly what all in looks like. And so anyone who complains where they're at, quits easily, like don't even start if that's the game, because this is what true entrepreneurship looks like behind the scenes. This isn't just their story. This is how it looks. When you hear these people who've sold for $1 billion, then you hear their whole journey, right? And all the twists and turns. What I love is you're taking us along for the ride early on, and we know where it's going to end, but you're not backtracking us. And I appreciate you coming on with the honesty and just your hearts. And this was such a beautiful episode for people to hear. And I'm so happy that I was able to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for allowing us to share our story. We appreciate it. You're so easy to talk to. There was that like energy immediately. I knew I had to talk to you as soon as we met.
We beelined.